welcome to the Manifest to Live Life Goldyn podcast and YouTube show. I am Goldyn Duffy and I am back again. Oh boy, we're just living this life one moment at a time, figuring things out as we go. And I love sharing that. So I'm going to do that. So if you do not follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you can find me at Live Life Goldyn on Instagram and Goldyn Duffy on Facebook. I am actually doing some short form videos every single day to just share some thoughts. So that might be something that you want to follow if you're, wanting more. And if you've made it through the couple of hundred episodes I have and you still want to hear more, you can go there to check it out. All right. So today we're going to be talking about things that are processes and the way that we grow as individuals. I've had a lot of awareness lately on the growth factor, we'll call it, and noticing and really formulating what happens when we get in these low patterns. Some personality profiles, they call it your basement. Like when you're working from your basement, it's like the negatives to your positives. So what happens when you get triggered or when something happens that makes you feel less than? All of those processes that you go through are a really important part of your growth. And the more that you can become aware of it and start to decide about it, the more you're going to be able to become someone new, become someone who no longer is basically subject to your emotional field and not having control over your emotions and allowing this small self, this self inside of you that does not serve you any longer. It's like that little boy or that little girl that was told things that did not make them, live up to their greatest potential. It's usually like that part of the ego, that part of the small self that wants to keep you the same. So it will literally spin narratives and stories and get you caught in thought patterns that create dissension within you. And then you get really confused and then you can't move forward because you're confused and you're in this low vibrational frequency. So the other day, I had some situations happening with my design career. So I went back to design school. I'm now designing for people, but I'm also in a transition where I'm figuring out like how much to charge and what do I do. And I kind of got out of the gate with my husband's company and just started offering my services for free. And then that starts to become kind of a bad habit. So it's figuring out what do I charge and what do I feel worthy of, and being okay when people don't want to work with me. The challenge I think with that is that I know what the scope of work is going to take as far as like design decisions, and people can't factor the amount of decisions that are going to need to be taken when you're doing a kitchen remodel or a whole house remodel or even a small bathroom remodel. I actually just remodeled my, and I promise this won't all be about remodeling, but geez, have I learned some lessons through remodeling. I'm remodeling 2 bathrooms in my house. So I am the homeowner right now. I am doing the things that a homeowner would do and learning all these things and learning what works for me and what doesn't, and what work style, and how I navigate the contractors and speak to the contractors, and what kind of relationship we have, and is there, is stress being created? So that's something that's really, I think, important to realize in life, is where stress is being created and what your mechanism is when you are faced with stress. Do you run? Do you try to avoid confrontation? Do you get upset? Do you intimidate? Do you, there's just like, think about your process in that stress component, because again, that can often be your basement, and that can also be your wounds that we are looking to heal. Because if you are running from confrontation and you are not using your voice and you are feeling shut down, you're not going to be able to grow to the next level, and you're not going to get what you want. If I wasn't like really out there with this remodel, I would not have gotten what I wanted. So we've rented from the time we moved from Connecticut to California, because we lost our home in Connecticut. Actually, we gave it back, but we came here and ended up renting because we weren't in a financial position to buy, and we're working our way back there. Although I think it's funny when people are like, oh, you got to own your house, because the bank really does own your house. And if you miss a few payments, they're taking it back. So, we've lived in a rental. He does all of the repairs. He takes care of the yard. There's a lot of perks to renting. But there's also, this self in me where I've dealt with renting a lot in my life, where I don't feel in control because I am not the owner of the home. And this person can tell me to leave whenever they want, and they can do things to the house that I don't agree with. So there was that like low self-confidence thing going in underneath, because I've had issues with landlords before. So I came to the table, and my landlord lives in Japan. So I don't have much. I go through email with him, and the woman who was property managing was his mother-in-law, I believe, passed away. So she was the one here that would check on us, that would check on the house, then we would communicate. So our communication has changed, and now we're directly talking to the man who owns our home, and he's wonderful, but he sent in a contracting crew. We have always done our own updates and anything that needed done with the home. That was kind of their selling point when we moved into the house, is that we would take care of it, and they would pay for materials, and we mostly would just do the labor. So he decided to go with a different company. So this company comes in and they start doing this remodel on this bathroom. And I'm like, I need to have a say. Like, I've lived here for 8 years. This is my home. And I pay a lot of money to live here every month. And it took me like a second to shift into that, this is where I live, and I do have a say, and I should have a say, to empower me to the point where I came to a new place and they started to listen to me. And wow, I just nailed the designs on these bathrooms, and I'm really excited. And I had to stay within a budget, which I didn't even know what the budget was because they wouldn't tell me, which was frustrating. And I ended up creating a beautiful design, which will be on Facebook soon enough. You'll get to see it. Anywho, the whole point of me telling you that story was that I was in this small self and I recognized it. So we were watching Love on the Spectrum recently. We love that show. We think it is just the sweetest and most precious show. And I love how they are bringing so much attention to autism in such a positive light, and to love, and to these people who probably never thought that they would find love. And I always think about the parents and what a wonderful relief it can be to have your kids in love, feeling like they were never going to get there, and all the work these people have done to become self-sufficient. It's really a beautiful show. And there was a girl on there, her name is Abby, and I absolutely love her. And she was talking about her smart brain, and how when she gets anxious and when she starts to feel like she's going to freak out, she realizes that her smart brain has turned off. And I just love that analogy, because I had a situation the other day where I came up against a design client, a client that I'm designing for, and I had to be confident and wasn't really sure if they were going to hire me. And I felt all those feelings, right? Like the self-doubt, and I'm not good enough, and I don't know what I bring to the table, like crazy stuff that I can't believe is still going on at this point in my life. And, my husband was talking me through it and telling me that I was self-loathing. He was kind of pointing out everything that I was doing. And after I heard that from Abby, I was like, wow, it's like my smart brain turned off. But in that moment of self-loathing and getting down on myself, I saw it. It was almost like I was this hawk. I love hawks. And I got this higher perspective, and I could see it, and I could go, oh, I know how to change this. I need to respond differently. So that's what I did. I responded differently, and I reached out to the client and asked her if we could have a phone call. And I had a great, really honest conversation with her, very intentional, very integral conversation with her, where my normal MO would be to retreat and to tell stories, and then to make up those stories in my head. And I knew I didn't want to go to bed that night doing that. So that's how I changed the response. That's how you change things. Now, it doesn't change things forever. You have to be aware of it the next time. And once you see it the next time, you can catch it a little bit quicker. But I caught this one right in the middle. And now I'm referring to it as, oh, my smart brain got turned off. So anytime you're in doubts, anytime you're in low self-esteem or low self-confidence, remind yourself and turn your smart brain back on and remember who you are. Luckily, I have family members and friends who always remind me of who I am. And I have people around me, especially lately, who have really been very influential in reminding me who I am. I think it is so awesome that we have people in our life that remind us how powerful we are, or can instill an inspiration and a motivation within us that we don't feel unless we are around them or unless we're listening to them. I have a gentleman in my office complex right now that I bumped into one day. Total alignment. It was a day that I really needed to bump into him, and it seems to happen pretty often. And he's incredibly inspiring, and he's interesting because this is something I've been thinking a lot about. When he says he's going to do something, he goes and does it. So he asked me the other day if I could come and help him design a wall in his office for content. And I don't know his Instagram, but I'll get it for you guys because he's a super interesting dude, and I really love what he puts out in the world. So I went over to his office. We picked the wood slats we were going to do and everything. And he was like, I'm going right now. I'm going to Home Depot to get it. And I was like, wow. I'm like, here I am with this like blank wall in my office. I have this big blank wall that I've done nothing with. And I've had my office since like November, I think it was done. And I've been looking at it and thinking what I was going to do and thinking I got to do it and not getting it done. And I think it's so interesting when we do that. I call this our irritation list, right? It's like all those gotta do's throughout your day. It's like, the things we need to return, or the Amazons we need to return, or the office we need to finish, or the bedroom we need to finish, or the bathroom we need, like all those things that are on our to-do list, right? That we just keep putting off every day, but it literally takes away from our joy. Because every day I walk into this office and see this big blank wall. In fact, now I'm doing a podcast with a big blank wall, and I'm like turning it so you can see my wallpaper wall. It's becoming this thing where it's like it draws away from your joy because you're like, gotta do that. It takes up mental space in your head. How many of these things that if you just went and did them would take 5-10 minutes? Now my office wall will take a little bit longer than that because it's purchasing the stuff, it's hanging the stuff, but it's making those decisions that frees up your mental capacity and frees you up for even quieting your mind, right? Like what happens when you sit down and you try to meditate? You have this to-do list, right? One of the greatest ways you can get rid of that to-do list is by writing it out before you sit down and meditate, just dumping. That's also a great thing to do right before you go to sleep, is just write down all of your to-dos or just whatever's in your mind so that when you go to sleep, you kind of have a fresh slate. But quieting your mind happens when you don't have all these to-dos and all of these things that you keep procrastinating. Procrastination is not your friend. It is not your friend. It does mean that you're not lined up with the energy yet, and that's why you're procrastinating. But if you had an attitude where you decided that you would no longer put things off, you would be a much happier and freer person. You would be free from all these irritations, these little irritations and these little to-do lists that you never seem to get done. I have been on a literal rampage with my house lately. I think it's because of this remodel, and I just feel like our house has too much stuff in it. My kids are really good at bringing things into the house, but not cleaning things out. And then they don't like to throw things away. So they kind of shove them in cabinets. And I think I do this. I think a lot of people do that. So I've just been like clearing, cleansing. I gave away 10 bags of clothes. I can't even believe that. I feel like I'm looking at some of the things that I've had addictions to: clothes, housewares, pillows, things like that. And I'm just like, we got to stop the insanity, because managing all of this stuff, if you have an Amazon addiction, let me just talk to you. I have actually recently been to a client's house who has an Amazon addiction, and there is crap all over her house. And you may think, oh, I like things messy, or it doesn't really matter to me if things are messy. But the truth is that takes away from your joy, because it's energy in your home. It's energy that potentially is like wasted energy. There's no purpose for it. It's just taking up space and clearing space. I think that's kind of where I've been at lately, in this, like feng shui mood, where I just need to clear space. I need to see clean spaces. I need to see like there's surfaces that don't have stuff on them. I think that's important to me and my personality. Maybe it's not for you, but I will tell you that if you start to clear up your space and get rid of the unused stuff, you will feel better. There's no doubt about it. They say, a cluttered home is evidence of a cluttered mind. And if we want our minds to think clearly, if we want to be able to find things, if we want to have less chaos in our life, that is number one. It's one of the most important things to do. So look at that irritation list. Write down everything that's been on your list for a long time, where you've just been like not doing it. And then every day check 2 things off that list. I've been like accomplishment queen lately, where I'm getting like 25 things done in a day, in a morning. And I'm really amazed by how many things I can get done by not putting it off, by not saying I'll do that tomorrow or pushing it off, but getting organized, organizing, your life, your photos, your emails, like organizing things to the point where things work easily, where things are smoother. We really bog ourselves down by having too much stuff on our plate. And by doing this, we start to clean things up. So if you are a person who is incredibly busy all the time, always busying yourself, doesn't like to have any gaps in the schedule, I will tell you that's a recipe for stunting your growth. Because if you don't contemplate, if you don't have quiet time, you are not going to grow in the same rate as if you did take the time to do that. And many times busyness is an interruption in the emotional cycle. So you don't fully get to feel your emotions when something occurs. Like, here's a good example. I had a friend whose mom passed away, and it was kind of during COVID, and she was super wrapped up in the political forum, like really, really wrapped up, really angry about things, really constantly posting about it. She would do, all sorts of things that had spent her energy on the political forum. And she told me that it actually made her mom's death easier. The challenge with that is, okay, maybe you're not ready to process it when your mom dies, but eventually someone or something's going to die, and then all of that grief is going to come up. So you're better off dealing with it in the beginning. But if you feel like you can't process it and you're just busy all the time, I mean, people do this for 10 or 20 years. And then all of a sudden a pet dies and they're grieving their mother. It's like, we have to deal with the emotions as they come up, or what happens is they get down underneath and you actually vibrate, and you have a frequency that is heavy with grief, or heavy with an emotion that you haven't processed, heavy with anger, heavy with resentment. We know people like this, right? They're just resentful. Like something happened 10 years ago. They got a divorce. Their husband cheated on them. Their wife cheated on them, and they're still resentful. Well, resentment and anger actually creates dis-ease in your body, which I truly believe is like what leads to cancer. So we really want to deal with the emotional field so that we can move past it and create health inside. Okay, let me just see. Sorry, got a message here. Gotta take a second. One sec. Okay. So you always want to deal with the emotions as they're coming up. And also, like, as you're dealing with, like I talked about, the smart brain being turned off, you can catch yourself in experiences before you get to the point where you're making a fool of yourself, or you're yelling at someone, or you're doing things that you're going to regret later because you're able to recognize it. You can't recognize something that you're in denial about. You have to actually face it, and facing it is what lets you process it. So what's the process? When you're in doubt, when you're in self-loathing, when you're in habits that don't serve your ultimate good or your greatest potential, it's first recognizing it, and then it's deciding how you're going to respond. So if you don't respond in the same triggered, wounded way, getting mad at people, retreating, saying things that you regret, if you don't do that and you stop, you have to stop, you have to pause. And then you have to see the story, the dual story that's going on for what it is. And you have to look at it and you have to say, I don't want to be that person anymore. That's not who I am. I know who I am, right? I know I'm great. I know that I'm helpful. I know that I'm informative. I know that I'm articulate. I know that I have information that people will benefit from. When you remind yourself of those things, then you basically get out of that frequency, that low basement frequency, and you elevate to the frequency of who you are. We're often not living from the truth of who we are because we have these wounds. I actually was thinking recently about how we all have certain experiences. Like, we could be at a party and have a totally different experience than someone else at the party, right? So we go, we meet some people, we have a great time, but then we realize that not everybody has the same capacity for joy or for feeling like they had a good time because of the way that they process things or the way that they read things. The way that we read things is so important, right? It's our judgments, it's our perceptions, and our beliefs. Those judgments, perceptions, and beliefs create. That's what creates the next moment, right? That's our judgments, perceptions, and beliefs are what fuels our responses. And in those responses is a very powerful force called law of attraction. And in that response, you're going to attract more to you, whatever that feeling is, whatever that core feeling is, whatever that core belief is. So do you want to believe it? A belief is just a thought you keep thinking. A triggered emotion is just an old wound. It's not who you are. And it's not a cycle that you need to continue if you are interested in becoming someone new, if you are interested in leaving that past person behind. You know how you know if you healed? You don't respond in the same way. You don't have a visceral reaction. You don't have a strong reaction. You have a moment to pause, right? We talk about that space when you're quieting your mind. That space is your response time, right? So either you're going to fly off the handle because you don't have any space, right? Like your emotions are driving the car, or you're going to create that space that allows you to go, hang on a second, I'm going to get in the driver's seat. You're going to get out of the car. You're going to go around. You're going to kick those emotions out of the driver's seat. You're going to get in the driver's seat and you're going to go, okay, which road do I want to drive down? Do I want to drive down the same old, dusty, bumpy, pothole road that always makes me end up in bed and depressed, or ends up ending relationships, or ends up with me being silent and quiet and biting my tongue and feeling powerless? I never get to do anything. No. Or am I going to go down this new road, this new, beautiful, we'll call it a toll road. We have toll roads here. They cost money and they're beautiful. They're nice and paved and the ocean's on one side. And I'm going to go down this road that supports me being loved, being supported, knowing who I am, being confident, being truthful, being honest with the way that I feel. Really connecting with not blame, not telling people what they should hear, not blame, but laying out for people how you feel and what's important to you, not blame. Blame does not get you anywhere. It actually gets you right back into the passenger seat of victimhood. That's what blame does. So instead of blaming, it's like, where is my stuff in this? Where am I to grow? How can I share how I feel in the most productive way possible? And how can I create the greatest edge of my growth and grow from this experience so that I can become more? Great questions to ask. So the podcast has kind of taken on a whole new energy and a lot less consistency, and I'm okay with that right now. I'm going to focus on our remodeling company, which is really really in an interesting place. I'm not going to separate myself and feel like, I can't wait to get there, and I can't wait until we, hit all these goals, and I'm just going to hold myself in this place until I get there. I've decided today that I'm already there. And that's a huge connection to close the gap between where you are and where you want to go. I'm just going to feel like we're already there. We already have the enormous jobs and the amazing income, and all the things have shifted and changed. I can already see it. I can already feel it. And now I'm living it. So that's how you close the gap between your manifestation. Are you in lack of it? Are you like, I can't wait to get there. I can't wait for that someday. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to let it all go. Enjoy your life today. Can you go for a walk? Can you look at nature? Can you laugh with a loved one? Can you do the things that really bring you joy? Can you be in gratitude? How are you waking up every day? Are you waking up in the first, this happens to me so often. I've got to be honest with you. It's crazy. I'm not sure what the mechanism is of my mind and if everybody deals with this, but the second I wake up, I often think about, I'm training myself. So now it's like I wake up and I'm in gratitude. I spend like 20, 30 seconds, 60 seconds in bed, just laying there and being grateful, just thinking about all the things I have to be grateful for. But a lot of times there's like griping in there about what's wrong and who I want to change and how today needs to be different. And one thing I've become super aware of is to make sure that the first words that come out of my mouth to my husband, because he gets up like half an hour after I do, so I'm usually like showered and I'm putting my makeup on when he comes in the bathroom, is to make sure that the first thing I say to him is not a complaint. Because like I can often go down to the kitchen and like the kitchen isn't the way I left it or the way I like it, and then I can say something to him, and it never starts our day out good or right. So how are you starting your day? What are the first words that are coming out of your mouth? What are the first thoughts that you are allowing to entertain, right? What we focus on expands. So where are you first thing in the morning? Make sure that you're waking up and you're shifting if you are not in a mode of gratitude and appreciation, because you're not giving yourself the best benefit to start your day. You're actually working against yourself when you don't stand in that place of everything that's going right. You could have 10 things going right in your life and one thing going wrong. And if you focus on that one thing going wrong, those 10 things will start to go wrong, because what you focus on expands. And I think that we as humans have a really hard time focusing on what's going well, or celebrating what's going great, or celebrating what just went great, right? Like something manifests and it's great and everything, and then we just kind of move on. Like we don't take the time to like really feel it, really enjoy it, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like when you just savor something. Yeah, when you like savor something and you're like, my life is really good. Things are really good. I'm really satisfied. And yeah, you might not feel really satisfied all the time, but I'll tell you why that is. Because you're often focusing on what you don't like or what's happening that you don't like. And the people and the relationships in your life, if you are focusing on what you don't like about them and what you want to change, you don't have to say a word. They can feel it. People can feel energy. Even from distance, people can feel energy. So you got to clean that story up. You got to look for their positive aspects. You got to write those positive aspects out, and you got to look at people and see them for who they want to be. not who they are right now, because who we are right now is just it's a product of what we were thinking yesterday or what we were thinking 5 minutes ago. We can change like that, but we have to take control of that. We have to decide, and we have to decide that we're going to move forward and that we're going to do it in a way of excited anticipation instead of being like, oh, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. And for a long time I was like, I don't really know what to do with this podcast anymore. I don't really know how to monetize. But I set a strong intention in the beginning of the year, and I said, I'm figuring this out, and I'm never going to quit, because this is part of what I feel really called to, my mission work in the world. No matter how busy I get with our remodeling business and design, it's all manifestation, right? It's all manifestation. No matter what, I always want to keep the messages coming and be the reminder for people, because that really calls to me every day, just like my posts call to me every day. I just want to do it in new, fun, exciting ways. And as soon as I decided that, I met this person in my office who is pretty much telling me exactly what to do. So that's how it works. That's how it works. But if you're down and you're doom and you're gloom and you're hiding in your house, you can't find opportunities. You got to be out there. You got to be bright. You got to be excited. You got to be anticipating. If you're just feeling meh and you're okay and you're just like not really participating in life, not giving any energy to life, then life isn't going to give you any energy back. So find ways to energize yourself. It could be the smallest little things, getting a massage or going out in nature. I'm looking outside my office here, and there's just this beautiful bougainvillea. It's these beautiful pink flowers on our parking garage, so I can't really see the parking garage. And we have these trees out here, and these owls are always out there like hooing at night. It's so cool. But I just look out my window and I'm like, the trees are rustling in the sun, and I'm like, man, so much goodness to live. There's so much goodness to live. Don't miss out. Don't miss out. All right. That is my show for today, and I will see y'all again soon enough. Peace.